This conference will now be recorded.
Well, since I hope everyone is here, we have a lot to cover. We really should begin today's webinar. I really appreciate you all for attending today's virtual conference day too. A very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to one and all present here virtually with me today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Clara Meg, Conference Secretary at Coalesce. Will be available for any of your queries or questions throughout the webinar to help you out technically and organize the webinar successfully. For the next 5 minutes, please allow me We also hope your participation will be contribute to new research findings and that will lead to new collaborations and research initiatives. Before we start with the session, I guess some of you will be new to GoToMeetings app. Let me just explain you the important tools required for the presentation. On the GoToMeetings app or a web page, you can find four icons at the bottom center: mic, camera, screen, and mic button. Click on that to mute or unmute yourself. I request you to stay muted while our speakers are presenting their research work so that it doesn't cause any disturbance to them. Camera button, you can use this button to share or unshare the web camera. If you have the option to share the web camera, you can do it and it's completely your choice. Screen button, you can use this button to share your screen. This is the main part during your presentation. After I call your name from my side, I will be making you as a presenter and will give you the permission to share the screen. Then only you will be able to share your screen. So once I make you as a presenter, you can click on the screen button and you will find a pop-up window to share your screen. End button is the fourth icon where you can use this to leave the session. On the top center, you can choose the option to change your display settings. At the top right corner, you will have three icons: people, chat, and settings. In the chat option, you can chat with me or any other participants. For the settings, you can use this button to check for the settings for your speakers and microphone. So as mentioned, kindly remain muted during the presentation so the presenters does not get disturbed, and for any question you can ask the questions or you can send your questions in the message box too. Well, let's not take much of your time. Finally, I would like to request you all to please give us a brief introduction about yourself before starting with the session so that we can know about you virtually. And now let's move on to our first session. The first presenter is Lawrence Gordani from Tirana Business University, Albania. Hello, Dr. Lawrence. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, thank you. Hello to everybody. Please, can you make available my...
Yes, Dr. Lawrence, I have made you as a presenter. Kindly click on the screen button to share your screen.
Yeah, I guess you see it now.
Yeah, your screen is visible. Can you make it in a presentation mode and start your presentation?
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Clara. Thank you to all the personnel of the Coalesce Research Group for being asked here today. Distinguished authorities and participants, in my presentation, I want to start by mentioning regard the gross domestic consumption in Albania. Energy system has continued to be prevail in the oil by products by use for transport, around 53%, followed by electricity produced from hydro sources, about 28%, while the third place is held by biomasses. Wood has fuel about 7%, which is used for heating, cooking, and hotting the water in homes. Timber has a fuel is mainly used for dwelling in rural areas and in the services sector. The country has a transport directive 2003/30 of the European Union through the law of 2008 on the production, transportation, and the trade of biofuels and other fuels renewable for transport. And the problem is that the directive has already been replaced now by the EU and the energy community with the Directive 28 of 2009. However, the law, or RES Law 7/2017, does not include the relevant articles from 17 to 21 regarding biofuels. Therefore, it is necessary to amend the existing law on biofuels, and therefore it is necessary to fulfill it with the provision of the new European directive on biofuels, addressing the issues related to the measures to achieve the target for the biofuels and the issues of the setting up of a scheme and the body of the verification of sustainability criteria. In this regard, there is the new draft law already prepared on the production, transportation, and marketing of biofuels and the other fuels renewable for transport, applies to the activities of the production and the use of biofuels and other renewable fuels used in internal combustion engines in transport, where biodiesel and bioethanol levels are in line with the Albanian standard. According to him, from 2020, the minimum amount of biofuels and other renewable fuels for transport in the markets should be at least 10% of the amount consumed by transport in 2018 and 2019. The level of the biofuels produced from waste, non-food cellulose materials and the resulting not wasted cellulose materials will be at least half of the target level set for the other biofuels. But it still remains that renewable energy in transport in Albania is currently at 1% of the total, and the sustainability regime for biofuels has not been established. In this regard, in any case, it is expected that biofuels target of 10% as a percentage of biofuels versus total fuel consumption in transport sector in 2030 will impact the diversification of energy sources in the transport sector. Albania has become highly dependent indeed by the imported petroleum products due to its decline in production and the significant growing demand for gasoline, diesel and the heavy liquid fuels. The transport sector was the target consumer of the energy. It accounted for about 40% of total final consumption. In fact, Albania is considered one of the richest countries in the same time in Europe with hydrocarbon reserves, not mainly measure have been taken to increase the production and the technology improvements. To this objective, the replacing existing road transport with other transport modalities such as railway and the water transport will contribute to reducing the fuel of consumption. The target of diving the percentage of biofuels against the total consumption of fuel in transport sector has said it is 10% at least in 2020, other 10%, so around 20 in 25 and 30% in 2030 compared to the 3.5% in 2015. That will reduce in the same time the combustion fuel dependency in the transport sector. Here would bring to use the low carbon also for fuel like sustainable biofuels or renewable electricity. In this regard, there has been some improvements on the sublegal framework as related to the approval of the gross-cutting strategy for rural and agriculture development, the law on protection of agriculture land, and the law, the directive on determination of the energy measure for the collecting and treatment of the bio-waste. This framework envisages the improvement of sustainable forest management in order to improve the carbon sequestration and protect biodiversity. The results expected according to this are calculated to make the improvement of forest management, if managed to be implemented progressively, an area of 5,000 hectares per year will allow to a higher rate for growth of the tree biomasses in these areas. In 2030, the implementation of this measure will allow the reduction of the annual CO2 carbon emission by 18 kiloton, according to forecast in relation to the Bao scenario. To the above is expecting going by the measure to the renewable and efficiency measure that we are going to see in detail. Regard the scenario mainly related to the renewable energy, it is forecast the zero level of excise duty on the clean biodiesel by 2018, the exemption from custom duties and machineries and equipment to be used for the construction of the biofuels production plant, exemption from custom duties and VIT for equipment and machinery that converted manure into organic soil improvements that can be used for the cultivation of plants for the energy purposes, agriculture equipment, materials and machineries to be used by local farmers and cultivation of plants for energy purposes, technological equipment and machinery mainly in auxiliary and production of plants of biofuels and other renewable fuels, as well as publication by the Ministry of Energy through legal vehicles dealers and automobile clubs in the Republic of Albania the data of efficiency of existing engine following the quality of the fuel used, supervision of the biofuels quality by the State Technical Inspectorate and the offices for the evaluation of sustainable criteria, exemption from taxes and use of biofuels, criteria for the verification of the biofuels, obligation on production licenses holders and biofuels and other renewable fuels production in plants to report ex-factory production costs of this production, the reimbursement of the excise duty in biofuels used in transport sector and stored in the territory of the Republic of Albania for the value of excise duty paid up to 5%, reimbursement for the amount biofuels until 2020, calculation for existing rate based on the unit measure and its differentiation for some of the most essential energy products. Results that are seen to be achieved is foresee the alternative for the production of renewable fuels beyond the 2030 target that can provide opportunity for exports through the production and export of biofuels based on the used cooked oil and fats for production of liquid fuels from renewable energy, and biofuels including loss of agriculture origin waste and advanced one are expected to have the largest contribute to the target that is foreseen of 10% of biofuels by 2050. And regard the other related measure to be implemented, determination is foreseen the determination of the minimum annual quantity of biofuels and other renewable fuels for trade in transport sector, promotion of raw materials and the production of biofuels through the implementation of sustainable criteria, organization of the market biofuels and other renewable fuels take measure by any company that has a licenses on the type for the wholesale trade to guarantee placement in the market at least minimum quantity biofuels and other renewable fuels, fulfillment of sustainable criteria by the quantities in the question, determining the requirements related to the verification of the biofuel sustainable criteria, obligation to mix, seeing fees for necessary certificate and permits, carrying out inspection by responsibility state inspectorate, improvement of fine for retails of fuel if it's not provided that the biofuels or other renewable fuels such as petroleum and its byproducts to mix the biofuels and bioethanol in the amount of 10%, penalties for the fuel supplier who don't fulfill this obligation, and determining the support measure to make available to buyers of the vehicle with alternative fuels, as well as provision regarding compliance. Regarding by other part, scenarios related to the energy efficiency measure to be taken are foreseen in the implementation of the instruction on the law on permission value of air pollution in the environmental from the emission of gas and noises caused by road vehicle and the way for their control. Assignment of the carbon tax in the amount of 1.5 lakh for the liter for gasoline and 3 lakh for liter for oil on the as amended in the national law taxes. And the directives that see the measure against the air pollution from the emission of motor vehicle and the reduction of air emission of gases, pollution and suspend solid from engineers with positive ignition to those with compression ignition that burn natural gas or liquid for use of vehicle. That vehicle that are expected to meet at least the Euro 5 standard for the engine used and and not overpassing the 10 years of from their production. Custom duty of zero percentage for the improved vehicles. However, the owner of import vehicles are required to pay 20% of VAT, while the supply of the new 0-kilometer vehicles previously registered elsewhere is completely exempted from the VAT. Reimbursement of the custom authorities of excise for biofuels used in transport up to 5%. Regarding the real waste transport, some ongoing projects that envisage rehabilitation, including electrification and connection to the neighbor countries, introduction of electrical vehicles and their charging station in the Tirana market, introduction of vehicle buses with low emission level in the Tirana. And the result expected planet are the percentage of renewable energy resources in transport to reach 10% in 2020, and every year after, as mentioned before, until 30% up to 2030. Achieving by 2030 the 40% target for renewable sources in transport. No initial registration fee for new vehicles, no vehicle tax for the first 5 years, exemption from VAT for the electrical vehicle, exemption of VAT only for the new vehicle with the electrical motor in order to encourage the orientation of the individuals and businesses toward the purchase of these vehicles, no road tax, replacement of buses with ones that have low discharge levels, at least in municipality of the Tirana, and other measure to be implemented, seen the legal framework for setting goals, objectives, obligation, deadlines, agreed with interested groups, financial assistance incentive for vehicle manufacturer, retailers and customers, and tariff technical measure, update the taxi fleet with the hybrid of electricity models. This was all by my side. Thank you for the interest shown, and I hope my synthetic presentation has been helpful to give the proper indication on the dimension of the biofuels decarbonization in Albania. For more on above, you are invited to discover and keep update through the here dedicated energy blog. In last, I want to give a special thanks to all the organizers who make possible this excellent activity, and I hope we will keep in contact to develop our interest in the energy market further. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence, for your presentation. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. We'll move on to the next talk. The next talk is from Dr. Delilia Teresa, sponsor from Doku University, Turkey. Due to a technical issue, she is about to join the meeting. We'll wait for a few more minutes. Yeah, Delia has joined the meeting. Hello, Dr. Delia. Are you ready with your presentation?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was connected to another symposium. Sorry, yes, I am ready.
Yeah, okay, Dr. Delia. It's
Okay,
no worries. We are making you as a presenter. Kindly share your screen and start your presentation.
okay. It's okay?
Yeah, your screen. Yeah,
Yes,
it is
okay.
visible now.
Yes. Thank you very much. The title of my study is Photocatalytic Hydrogen Production from Cadmium Sulfur Catalyst. Photocatalytic hydrogen evolution through water splitting on semiconductor photocatalyst is one of the great interest due to its intriguing application on converting renewable solar energy into storable chemical energy. Considerable efforts have been focused on developing visible light-driven photocatalysts capable of using abundant visible light, accounting for about 43% of the solar spectrum. Metal sulfides are regarded as good candidates for visible light photocatalysts. Among them, cadmium sulfide has been intensively studied because its band gap corresponds well with the spectrum of sunlight, and the conduction band edge is more negative than hydrogen redox potential. It is very important to mention the hydrogen production by using photocatalytic studies. Some metal sulfides are regarded as good candidates for visible light photocatalysts. Among them, cadmium sulfide has been extensively studied because its band corresponded well the spectrum of sunlight, as I mentioned. Uh, in this study, a nanoparticle, nanocomposite was studied. The morphology, crystal structure, crystallinity, and particle size was detected. These factors directly influence the band gap structure and electron transfer processes, including charge separation, transport of the photogenerated carriers, and photochemical reaction at the photocatalyst interface. Up to now, a lot of methods have been explored to fabricate cadmium sulfur nanocrystals with different morphologies, such as micro nanoliths, nanoporous nanosheet, and hollow nanorods, hollow microrods, multi-art nanorods, nanosteps, and micro towers. In the present paper, cadmium sulfide was synthesized under laboratory conditions by adjusting some sulfur sources and solvent. The morphology crystal structure was investigated for hydrogen production. The cadmium sulfur catalysis was produced by using cadmium acetate, cysteine as a sulfur sources, and as a solvent was used ethylenediamine. After stirring, it was put to the autoclave and maintained at 160 centigrade degree for a day. After reaction, the autoclave cooled in the room temperature naturally. The precipitates were collected and washed through distilled water, and absolute ethanol was added and dried. XRD analysis was performed. The morphology was investigated with a field emission scanning electron microscope, transmissions electron microscope, and high resolution transmission electron microscopes analysis were performed. The bead surface area of the samples were analyzed by nitrogen adsorption, desorption apparatus. The bead surface area were determined by a multi-point bead method using adsorption data in the relative pressures. For photocatalytic hydrogen production, the prepared photocatalyst was added to some Pyrex flask, and it was measured the hydrogen production under visible light. The reactor was continuously steered with a magnetic stirrer from the bottom of the reactor. The produced gas was analyzed in GCMS, the hydrogen gas. FISM analysis results showed that nanorods, nanowires, and urchin-like shape were obtained when thioure, total aromatic amine, and cysteine were used as sulfur source in the presence of ethylenediamine solution. Nanoparticles and hollow spheres were formed while thioure, total aromatic amine, and cysteine were used as sulfur source. The samples obtained with assistance of cysteine as source bed surface area and quantum efficiency. This indicated the organic solvent is advantageous over water in the terms of higher bed surface area, as you know, as you see. The FISM and TEM results showed that the samples prepared in the presence of T solvents is irregular. The FSM image of the samples show that nanoparticles are obtained by using DDA as solvent. The nanoparticles have sizes ranging from 15-40 nanometer and appear to be heavily aggregated. It is interesting to note that the sample prepared in the presence of data solvent is composed of nanorod with lengths of 60 250 nanometer and diameters of 20 nanometer. FISM images of the sample clearly reveals that the sample prepared in the EDA solution is constructed from the closely aggregation of nanorods. Team analysis results. TEM image of the sample confirm that these nanorods are highly directed to form radial arrays from the center of the surface of the spheres. Further observation shows that the length and the diameter of the constituent nanorods are capacity of 1 nanometer and 22 nanometer respectively. Moreover, the sample prepared in the TEPA solution consists of many nanowires with lengths of from 1 nanometer to the 22 nanometer. From the HRT image of an individual nanowire, it can be observed that the space between adjacent planes, which is consistent in the interplanar distance of the planes of hexagonal cadmium sulfide, indicating that monowires grow along of carbon axis direction. XRD analysis results showed that the XRD pattern of some samples consists with a hexagonal phase and exhibit Fortis cadmium sulfur properties. These phases are clearly distinguished with the patterns and agree with the literature studies. Here you see the XRD analysis. It's not so clear. UV with diffuse reflection spectra we use to characterize the optical absorption properties of semiconductor powder materials. The absorption edges of the samples are maximum at a peaks of 500, around 500. Here you see the UV spectra. Which analysis results showed that the effect of solvent of the pore structure and surface area is different. The nitrogen absorption desorption isotherms and the corresponding pore size distribution curve are presented in the figure. The isotherms of the sample has two hysteresis loops indicating biomodel pore size distribution in the mesoporous and macroporous at of P0 range. The hysteresis loop is different, suggested that narrow necks and wider bodies was detected. Here you see the nitrogen adsorption, desorption isotherms. Photocatalytic hydrogen production was performed in this study. XPS analysis results showed that some elements, cadmium, sulfur, carbon, and oxygen are observed. The carbon and oxygen peaks mainly come from the contamination due to sample exposure to the air. Here you see the energy bands. As a result, the maximum hydrogen production rate for cadmium sulfur photocatalysis developed under laboratory condition is 1200 milligram liter per hour. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Delia, for your presentation. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. Now let's move on to the next presenter, Dr. Noor F. Atia from National Institute for Standards, Egypt. Hello, Dr. Atia, are you ready with your presentation?
Yeah, hello, I'm ready.
Okay, Dr. Noor.
Share my screen.
Yeah, I'm making you as a presenter. Kindly click on the screen button to share your screen. I have made you as a presenter.
Okay.
The screen is visible. Can you open your PPT? Hello, Doctor. Hello, Dr. Atia. Are you there? Hello, Dr. Atia. I think okay. I will reach Dr. Atia and we'll get back to. Kindly wait few minutes. Hello, Dr. Atia. I have made you as a presenter. Kindly click on the screen button to share your screen.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying right now. Yeah, it's not seen till now.
No, I have made you as a presenter. In the GoToMeetings app, click on the screen button to share your screen. Yeah, your screen is visible now. Kindly click again.
I don't know actually. Really, I don't know.
Open the GoToMeetings app once.
Start discussing. No screen sharing. Oh,
Yeah,
not seen
doctor.
still.
Yes. No, your screen is not visible yet.
Yeah, I'm trying actually. If there's some technical problem, I don't know.
Or if you have an option to come from the desktop, you can do that.
No, actually, I'm using my phone, so uh, I'm not
Yeah,
using my
for
desktop.
a bit your phone is coming, your phone display is coming, and again it is your left, your screen is stopped. Kindly click on the screen. Yeah, your screen is okay now. Can please open your PPT.
Okay.
Yeah, your PPT is okay. Don't
I think I know.
your PPT was visible. Don't share your PPT to go to meetings. Just you can start your presentation.
So now it's visible to you.
No, it is not visible. Again, kindly share your screen. You are closing the screen sharing option. Just click on the screen
You.
button in the GoToMeetings app and open your PPT and start your presentation.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, I think now I can start my presentations and
No, your screen
list.
is not visible yet. Kindly do again. Please go to the GoToMeeting app and share the screen.
Sitting. This one sharing the screen. Start podcast.
Please open your PPT now and start your presentation.
Yeah, actually, I'm doing right now. I just opened my PPT since 15
Don't
minutes now.
stop the sharing button.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you can start. Open your PPT, make it in a presentation mode and start.
Yeah, but
Keep the presentation.
did you see my
Yeah,
presentation?
your PPT is visible. Can you make your phone in a landscape mode and start your presentation?
Okay. So now you are seeing my presentation or not?
No, your no mobile. Yeah, your presentation visible now. Start your presentation, Dr. Atiaz.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today I'm gonna share with you my presentation, which entitled "Green Hydrogen Economy as a clean energy source, system limitations and commercializations." Actually, I want to share with you. I'm just coming from National Institute of Standards, Egypt. So let me start with my philosophy. Actually, there are the several crises the world they are facing, and they threaten the life of the coming generations, like water crisis, as you can see, food crisis, and environmental pollution crisis, and health crisis. And the most common crisis is the energy crisis. So you can see till this moment, the contribution of the renewable energy is still between 15 and 20%, and still the world is dependent mainly in the fossil fuels energy. So, as all of you know, from day to day and from time to time, our planet lost some of its resources. So, in order to cover what we lost and maintain what we have, we need such kind of advanced materials, which we call is nanomaterials, to commercialize renewable energy and to start up with that kind of things. So here is just simple presentations about the sense of nanomaterial, which is based on two approach, bottom up and top down approach, and also the classification of the nanomaterials, which is based ZOD, like nanoparticles, and 1D, like nanotubes, nanofiber, nanowire, and so on, and 2D nanomaterial like graphene and nanocoating and nanolayer, then 3D like nanoflower and so on. So the other things is the nanoporous materials. So nanoporous material is a special kind of materials which containing some pore, and the people classify this material based on the diameter of the pore. So when the pore diameter is less than 2 nanometer, the people call it is microporous materials. And when the pore diameter is between 2 and 50, the people say it is mesoporous materials. And when the pore diameter is larger than 50, then it's macroporous materials. So let's go for the crises what we are facing right now, and even the world right now, and the people mainly depend on the oil and fossil fuels. So the hydrogen is a very promising alternative energy fuels, or I can say energy carrier. But the problem is even the chemical energy of the hydrogen is much more better, maybe 4 times than the fossil fuels energy. But the problem is the energy is a gas. So the storage of the hydrogen is a technical dilemma for real commercialization of a hydrogen as a hydrogen as an energy carrier for vehicles, for example. So there's the four types of storage of the hydrogen. they can store at compressed gas, like at 350 bar, or we can store as a compressed gas as a, I mean, cryogenic liquids at 77 Kelvin, or we can store in the absorption way by physical interactions, or we can store it as a chemical hydride via covalent bond. So all of this kind of storage way have some advantage and disadvantage. So this is, I mean, so right now, all of you know, the technical dilemma for that is the storage. Is a safe, convenient storage media for hydrogen to be used for saving. I mean, for safe as a vehicle, for example. So most of the people working, there's a metal hydride and there's a many prototypes over the world, but still safe car driving vehicles with using hydrogen is still not working well. So what the people doing in this particular area, they're just using to store in the porous material like metal organic from work, porous material, porous polymer, and so on. But the problem is due to the very weak interactions between the hydrogen molecule and the adsorbent materials, the thermal motions on the surface of the adsorbent can broken down that bond at the ambient temperature. So this material is very good under cryogenic temperature because it's under cooling. But the challenge and the reality, it should be under ambient conditions. So this is the challenge, and what the people doing right now to overcome and to use some metal nanoparticle, to use high electron density element, and to enhance the interactions between the hydrogen as a molecule and the adsorbent. So there's many things we are using, and also the nanomaterial. Also, you know, there's a climate change, and very soon there's a COP27, and also there's a huge emissions from the carbon dioxide over the world, and also this threatens the life of the people because of that. So if we use the hydrogen, it will solve these problems, and also the methane. So let me say for the hydrogen cycle, hydrogen is renewable if we just take it from the seawater, because we can use the solar cell, which as a renewable energy to split the hydrogen to hydrogen and oxygen. And in 2005, the Europe Union have a big project, and they study the technical feasibility of using hydrogen as an energy carrier, and they produce around maybe 27 fuel cell for just common bus, and this common bus distributed between 9 big cities in the Europe, like Johannesburg, Paris, and so on. And this is bus is working with hydrogen as a green hydrogen, and they found out the hydrogen is could be a very good alternative energy carrier, and you can use it for safe. But the problem, this bus is working the hydrogen stored as a compressed gas under 350 bar, and this is not safe at all actually. So still, to commercialize the hydrogen economy and to facilitate that, we still need a lot of things. We need standardizations for safety. We need a storage material. We need a production fuel cell. We need actually breakthrough in many things. Also, safety standardizations and many things we just need it. Actually, it's not is the issue is not easy as the people imagine. There's many things. Also, we need to broadcast the knowledge and to prepare the people for that kind of special renewable energy carrier. And this is many things that are needed. So what the people doing is to developing some smart material to store hydrogen at ambient condition, and to absorb and dissolve the hydrogen very easily without destruction of the materials. And kinetic is very good, and also it's issue. So the many things, me and some other people dedicated our time, work day and night to solve these problems, and we publish many things, and even we publish some patent, and we develop some material. And some other people, they claim they just can use metal nanoparticles in this, and they just use spillover mechanism, and this is later on the people figure out this is not correct and that's not working, and we need to think more and more and more. For myself, actually, I found out the both material is a direct solution, and by some modifications of the bore wall and the opening of the bore with some other high electron density element, we can now down to triple time size of the hydrogen. Then we can increase the hydrogen storage capacity at near ambient temperatures. So now in our previous work, we think more and more to use scalable porous materials. So we start to recycling the waste materials and decorate it with high electron density element to develop some smart porous materials. So we produce a helical porous material. What the meaning of helical material means? Micropores and we have a mesoporous material. Then we can just ambient pressure. Hello?
Hello.
What happened? Yeah, what's happened?
We
The
are
surface
unable to hear
morphology
you,
to
Dr.
produce in
Atria.
handling to get polypure nanoparticles.
Dr. Atria, we are unable
Yes,
to see
yes.
your screen.
Yeah, actually, I'm to show my screen, and you see it's visible, right?
No, it's not visible. And
Right till now, not visible.
no, no, just now it had been stopped.
No, I didn't stop anything. So actually, okay. So
You kindly share
this,
your screen again.
okay,
Okay, you can open your PPT.
okay.
Again, it stops sharing.
I didn't stop any sharing actually. No junk. Start sharing. Now you see my PPT.
Yeah, it is visible. You can continue your presentation.
Okay. So what we are talking about, we just use sugar beet leaves and we're cycling to carbon materials. Then we decorate it with polypure nanoparticles to use as a nitrogen doping and also to enhance the porosity. Then finally, we get a double sieve, highly porous material, surface area near to 3,000 meters square per gram, and also containing many things, containing metal, natural doped metals, and containing oxygen and containing nitrogen, because this high electrodensity element recently found its attractive absorption site to enhance the interaction of the hydrogen. And when we have a carbon materials, then we have to characterize using a powerful techniques which called Raman spectroscopy. And this is a picture about this. I mean, I told you we get a helical pore structure, means micropores and mesoporous materials, and the surface area is near to 3,000 meters square per gram, and you know, the hydrogen uptake is very important. I mean, we get around 6 weight% per gram, and also we get around 0.3 weight% at room temperatures, and this is quite good. I mean, uptake actually, especially for both materials, and we are trying right now to modify using some benzene and some other material to improve that value. And recently, we developed some innovative materials. You know, even the bonus carbon material for handling, for safety handling, is not good because it's a fine powder, and when the people using, and again we have to fix it in the cylinder, and we have to, so we have the people using have to use some binder or something, and this will attribute it to losses of the porosity. Then we think more and more, and we develop some porous carbon textile. What does it mean of that? It means we just get the textile, I mean viscose, and we decorate it with polypropylene nanoparticles, and then we carbonize, and then we activate it, then finally we get very nicely porous carbon textile fabrics. I mean, like we get a carbon fabrics which is a fixed and surface area is around 2,500 meters square per gram, and also decorated with this, and it's very nice, and also it's very nice for processing. You can just roll it inside the cylinder, and it will not take much volume actually, and was a very interesting also. And we get a very good uptake, hydrogen storage uptake, and also good selectivity, because there's a two source, as a lot of you know, there's a two source for getting hydrogen. One source is green hydrogen, which is can get, I mean, we can say blue hydrogen actually, or green hydrogen can get from the seawater, and the other is blue hydrogen, which you can get from the combustion of the fossil fuels in high oxygenated atmosphere. Then we get a syngas. The syngas is containing carbon dioxide 50% and the hydrogen 50%. And then to use the hydrogen, we have to purify, I mean, selectively separated the carbon dioxide from the hydrogen. And this is usually in all oil plant. They produce a hydrogen from the fossil fuels during the oxidations of the fossil fuels and producing syngas. And this is very important. You have to selectively capture carbon dioxide and delete the pure hydrogen to use it for our applications. So, so our material achieve very good selectivity for hydrogen from carbon dioxide, and also they achieve high storage capacity, and they achieve for hydrogen at 77 Kelvin, and also at ambient temperature. And the most important is scalable, and you can use it. You can produce maybe 300 meters square of the fabrics, which is a carbon, which is stable, and you can very easily for handling. And this is a patent actually, and we patent that work, and we publish impact factor journals and so on. So the other way is a mandarin. There is a huge amount of the production of the mandarin of the world, and the weight or the mass of the shell of the mandarin is almost 50% to the mandarin itself, which we are eating. So the idea is to recycle this issue, and the shell of the mandarin is considered as a waste for the soil. So the issue is to recycling that and to produce a graphene-like structure, high porous materials, and we succeeded for that, and we achieved very good results regarding that. And you can produce scalable production for this material very easily. And I mean the efficiency, and actually I make some economy study for that issue. So we can produce at least 6.3 million ton per year of the world from the mandarin only. Highly porous carbon material, which you can use for the hydrogen uptake and the selectivity. And we just studied many things. We studied the selectivity, carbon dioxide hydrogen selectivity. We studied actually the hydrogen uptake, we studied the carbon dioxide capture, and so on, and some other issue. And I show you this is a economic feasibility of exploitations of both carbon for scalable productions. And I told you we can get more than 6.3 millions of ton of porous carbon of high surface area. And I would like to conclude my talk actually. We need to work together. We need to push the commercializations of the hydrogen economy and the hydrogen as a energy carrier for the vehicles and for other applications also. We need many things. We need many things of the people to work together, and we need to solve the storage. We need a convenient storage, safe materials, because the metal hydride and the complex hydride has some very technical problems, and this is actually the storage is still limited the commercializations, because we need to sell the car in a convenient price actually, and in the safe. So in myself and my group actually we work day and night to use some other materials to store the hydrogen and to purify, to upgrading the hydrogen purity actually, and also to capture carbon dioxide. So we develop many things, and we're still working, and we're working with other people, and we're cooperate with Korea, South Korea, and we cooperate also with Italy and France. And this is actually some of the publications which we done during the last 2 years in this area. And finally, I would like to thank you for active listening, and I would like to invite you to give of the coming generation for all the anticipated crisis. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Atia, for your presentation. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. The next, let's move on to the next presenter. The next presenter is Dr. Amosh Obi from Mini Global Heterowide Skills Network Limited, Nigeria. Hello, Dr. Amos. Are you ready with your presentation? Hello, Dr. Amos. Hello, Dr. Amos. I hope Dr. Amos have disconnected. We'll reach him via telephone and get back to you. Please wait for a few more minutes. Thank you. Hello, Dr. Amos. Can you please unmute yourself? Kindly click on unmute button in the bottom of your screen. Hello, Dr. Amos. You need to unmute, Dr. Amos. We have unmuted. We have sent you an unmute request for you. Kindly click on the unmute button at the bottom of the screen. If it problem persists, kindly leave the session and rejoin again.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Amos, I have made you as a presenter. Kindly share your screen.
Okay, can you see me now? Can you
Yeah,
hear
you're
me?
audible. Your screen is not yet visible.
Is it okay?
Not yet.
Can you see? Is it okay?
No. Kindly click on the screen button on your GoToMeetings app and share your screen. Open the GoToMeetings app and click on the screen button.
Yeah, I've done that. Done that. No screen. Showing no screen.
Mic, camera, screen button. You'll have that. Click on that and share the PPT you have selected. You're going to present.
I'm going to make you presenter. To make you a presenter. They are reported that you ask you to make me a presenter.
Hello.
I should ask the organizer to make me a presenter. So it is from your end.
Okay, I'll be okay. We have received your copy of your presentation. I will be displaying here. Kindly start your presentation here.
Okay, let me start. Okay, the second
Okay.
online international conference.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
just a second. I'll be opening your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
No, one second.
Okay. Can I go on?
Just a second, doctor.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, you can start your presentation now.
Okay. Well, sorry for the time taken. It's a privilege for me to be here to speak on sustainable biofuel from corn cob waste. The summary of the presentation, the potentials of this biofuel from corn cob, the biological adaptation of corn cobs, the production process, the potential yield, the logistical requirements, then the socio-economic and environmental challenges. We can see that our world is in need of energy, especially in the area of renewable energy. One of the problems that is confronting our world is the use of fuel that are not organic, inorganic energy sources has caused much damage in terms of climate change. So our world is in their need of alternative source of energy. And Concord, I call it the golden organic waste. It's what can salvage our world right now in terms of energy production and energy need for industrial use, for domestic use, and even for farms. Concord has the potential to generate the needed energy and with environmental sustainability. So if we want a cure for our world, we need to go back to Concord. Fortunately, Concord is so much available in Nigeria, for instance, all part of Nigeria, the northern Nigeria, they plant maize, harvest maize, and behold, this Concord material are thrown as waste in all over Africa and most parts of the developing world. Concords are not being utilized, but they could generate the needed energy that the world needs. So, in a nutshell, we have been the rising prices. The growing evidence suggests that combustion of fossil fuel emits large amount of greenhouse gases, which are constitutive factor behind the climate change.
Hello, Dr. Amos. Sorry for the interruption. Kindly mention the slide you're seeing. Are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
able to see my screen?
Definitely, I'm seeing it.
Okay,
I'm
kindly
right to
mention the
the
slide you want to presenting so that we can display accordingly.
okay.
May I know the
Just
page number
the
you are
second
presenting
slide.
now?
The second slide.
The second slide. Okay, kindly
Yeah.
mention your screen.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. So the
You
second
can see
slide
the
of the
GoToMeetings
presentation.
app. I'm presenting your presentation. Kindly mention the slide you want to change, okay, so that we can change the slide.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we go to the second slide. I'm right in the middle there. I'm trying to point out the evidence that fossil fuel has emitted large amount of greenhouse gases, which is the positive factor for climate change. And this can be reversed by the use of non-fossil source of energy, and cellulosic biofuel from Concord has the answer. Please, can we go to the third slide there? Are you going to the third slide? Yeah. Concord content and its unique value, economic values. You see that Concord has so much ingredients that makes it to be a very useful material that mankind has not discovered. It is rich with ash, fiber, lipid, good content of moisture that is very, very available for use. Then nitrogen, protein, carbohydrate, which is the cellulose, that makes cocoa to be a very unique material that can solve the problem of energy. Now let's go to the next slide, which is biofuel production potential from Concord. The next slide, biofuel production potential from Concord. We have two methods to get energy, biofuel from Concord. One is through direct combustion. If Concord waste are properly heated, it generates energy, heat energy, which could be collected, conserved, and used. That is one way of generating energy from Concord, which is considered as waste. Concord, another way for try to speak to the lecture, not reading it. Another way to get energy from Concord is through biorefinery. Biorefinery, as you can see in the diagram below, let's go to the diagram below. The diagram of the biorefinery. Please kindly go to the diagram. Good. Concord, you can see it there at any quantity could be as waste through a process of acid hydrolysis. They are pre-treated, bioliquid, fermented, and behold, examic hydrolysis Through this process, as you can see there, Concord could generate amount of heat. So we can encourage developing countries to have biofuel refinery that could convert the enormous Concord that are wasted today into useful energy that can serve our communities, serve our farm and our industry. And this is very cost effective. This type of refinery, biofuel refinery from cocoa, very cost effective. It can be easily achieved with less amount of money. So that is the solution that is available to mankind, even at this present age. And the present time we are talking about sustainable development. So Concord is the key to this very issue. Then the potential yield. In one study, Concord yields at a rate of typical production of feed range between 0.6 to 1.2 tons per acre. You can imagine that. And these have been all wasted all these years. In our state, for instance, in America, Concord yields 161 bushels per acre, produce about 1,200 pounds of Concord per acre. So if this could be converted through biofuel refinery, we can have a lot of energy that could be used. But however, there are economic challenges on how to use Concord as a sort of energy. The major challenge is the area of collection, because it will require farmers producing it, and most of the time they throw it away, but it has to be collected, dried, sorted out before it could be used. That is just virtually the major challenge. Then we go to the environmental sustainability factor. As I've said, Concord is a way to overcome the potential, the danger of climate change through the use of fossil energy. And relatively, every waste from Concord could be converted into useful material, and it is digestible. So Concord is environmentally friendly and humanly safe for all, both for human and animals. In summary, please kindly go to the summary. Concord has the potential to be a sustainable biofuel feedstock. New harvesting technology both reduce costs and minimizes destruction with other fall feed operations. While yield per acre is relatively low, production costs are also likely low, and the impact of Concord harvest is minimal on the soil. However, the relative low yield of Concord per acre possesses a logistical handling and transportation problem compared with other feedstock. As a result, biorefineries and other processing plants will need to draw feedstock from a much larger area than they might for other feedstock. Nevertheless, in some regions with intensive corn production, Concord could provide a substantial amount of feedstock. One produced facility, the Chippewa Valley Ethanol Plant, projected a 2009 Concord harvest of 6,000 to 8,000 tons from 12,000 to 40,000 acres. So this is a major consideration and an advantage of Concord. In our institute, the Hyderabad Skill Academy for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, we are researching into green and organic production of such materials that can be useful for man to reduce the effects of climate change and also promote food production and sustainable energy. We also research on digital entrepreneurship for trading and innovation then renewable energy research, which could be adopted. On this note, our contacts are there. We call for partners globally who can help team with us to scale up this project because it could salvage and help most of the developing countries from the issue of poverty, hunger, lack of renewable energy, and especially the impact of climate change. Thank you so much for listening. I will entertain any question if there is. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Amos. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Let's move on. Once again, thank you,
Yes.
Doctor, for your presence and presentation, Dr. Amos. Let's
Thank
move
you.
on to the next present. Thank you. Let's move on to the next presentation. The next presentation is from Dr. Vijayan Gurumurthy Iyer from Aruna Engineering College, India. Hello, Dr. Vijayan. Are you ready with your presentation? Dr. Vijayan will be joining in a minute. Thank you for waiting. Okay, meanwhile, we'll move on to the next presentation. The next presenter is Dr. Vikram Mahamaya from Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, India. Hello, Dr. Vikram, are you ready with your presentation? Hello, Dr. Vikram.
Madam?
Yes, Dr. Vijayan. Now I'm making you as a presenter. Kindly share your screen.
Yes, one minute. So how to share it?
I have made you as a presenter. Kindly click on the screen button on your GoToMeetings app to share your screen.
Screen is not opening. Share.
Open your GoToMeetings. Yeah, your screen is visible now. You can
Okay.
open your PPT and start your presentation in a presentation mode.
So can you see the first slide?
Yeah, your
Design and
screen is, yeah, the first slide is visible. Can you make it in the full screen mode?
full screen. Ah, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible too. You can start your presentation.
Okay. Design and development of biogas plant, power plant for sustainable development management of wastewater in context to Indian scenario. Part 2, investigation of biofuels and bioenergy towards sustainable power development. Sustainable power development is a kind of development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability and efficacy of future generations to meet their own needs. And the objective is to design and develop sustainable methane engine plant for self-sufficient power in Coimbatore, Chennai sewage treatment plant. Investigation of biofuels and bioenergy towards sustainable power development. The introduction is at global level, methane emission from sewage wastewater sludge contributing 700 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent towards 7% of total global methane emissions. At the global level, about 55% of the sewage is treated in sewage treatment plants. There is a considerable waste of the 600 the million metric tons of carbon dioxide equal need to be mitigated through the fuel power plants for the control of the global warming and the emissions. The entrepreneurship regime of the biogas power plant design is given, and there are 4 fundamental feasibility studies have been conducted in this project: scientific feasibility, economical feasibility, technological feasibility, marketing feasibility, and fundamental legality. The exhaust from burning methane, in this process methane is typically burned at a very high temperature in excess of 800 degrees centigrade. When the temperature rises to around 1300 degrees centigrade or higher, the reaction can produce harmful byproducts including the nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, etc. So these have to be considered for the environmental aspects. So environmental impact assessment is the systematic identification and evaluation of the potential environmental effects of the proposed projects, plans, legislative actions with respect to the physical environment, chemical environment, biological environment, social economical environment of the total environment. So strategic environmental assessment process is proposed in this project. And the materials methods, the Chennai sewage treatment plants have considerably, the environmental effects on the biotic stress as well as receiving water, and can cause water pollution, eutrophication problems, nitrogen and phosphorus, and this will have the environmental poisoning effects. So this is the deoxygenation and reaeration process. So the deoxygenation and reaeration have to be properly balanced, and in most of the groundwater pollution, the nitrogen and phosphorus is not at all treated in most of the sewage treatment plants, and this has the effects on the global warming as well as the water pollution, land pollution. So based on the research that has been conducted, design and development of sustainable wastewater treatment for sustainable development, that has been taken study, and the Journal of Economical World USA, and the oxygen demand calculations, nitrogenous BOD is equal to 4.57 into TKN. Untreated domestic wastewater, so 50 mg per liter, that have to be given oxygenation to treat it, that is 70 to 230 mg per liter, so which not more than 0.1 mg per liter. The sewage treatment plants without nutrient removal, that is nitrogen and phosphorus, eutrophication is taken place. So in 60 mld sewage treatment plant, the design of the the gas power plant Genbacher J320 GS Barcelona So the thermal energy with the biogas and natural gas that generate electricity, and the treatment of the sludge is through anaerobic digestion, and the sewage gas, a type of biogas generated, is used as a rich source of methane to generate electricity, self-sufficient in power, and the excess heat is bled off in the air coolers. It is concluded that cleaner technologies can produce more output than conventional technologies by causing less damage to the environment. Greener technologies, as those that are less polluting, use resources in a sustainable manner, recycle more of their waste and products, and handle all residues in a more sustainable and environmental way. So this is the environmental impact assessment of sewage treatment plant has been conducted. BOD incoming is 200 mg per liter, and it is reduced in secondary treatment systems 130 to 30 mg per liter. In our country, India, there is no nitrification, denitrification, and phosphorus removal process. So 30 mg per liter is nearly around 4,000 to 5,000 times than the permissible limit of 0.005 mg per liter. So you can note this particular slide, that is no nitrogen and no phosphorus removal in most of our Indian sewage treatment plants. And the suspended solid 240 mg per liter to 30 mg per liter. This has been considerably decomposed. Phosphorus 7 to 5 mg per liter. And the diesel engine run on methane, that is a natural gas. Diesel engines can be made to run natural gas with relatively small modifications in a diesel engine. Fuel and air are ignited not with a spark as in gasoline engines, but by compressing them until they get hot enough to combust. So how does a methane engine work? Natural gas and steam are the fuel into the reaction cylinder through a valve as the piston inside is lowered. The valve closes once the piston reaches the bottom of the cylinder. The piston rises into the cylinder, compressing the steam, and the methane as the reactor is heated. And this is the engine. It is a spine engine, which is 12 cylinder engine using operating the natural gas, and the gas is having 40%, 60% is the methane, and 40% it contains ammonia compounds NH3 and H2S, hydrogen sulfide. So this is also environmental problems. This has the effects on the power output of the Barcelona engine. So it is very much important to remove the desulfurization and denitrification process. But it is a eutrophication problem in our land, air, water. This is what how the engine has been developed, and this is working in the basic principle of the four-stroke. That is every two revolution of the crankshaft there is a one power stroke. So it is a four-stroke 12-cylinder engine that is operating on the principle of diesel injection, or the methanol injection is applied in the principle. This is a natural gas engine. This is the layout of the natural gas engine that has been designed and developed in this project. And this is the project which produced the power generator 5240 kilowatt, that is 60 mld milliliters in a day, and engine type, and the fuel is biogas and natural gas. H2S, hydrogen sulfide, desulfurization technology has been used, and ammonia, the removal of ammonia is taken place. Thermal output 2960 kilowatt. So this is used for the two-stage anaerobic reactors for heating the sludge in the first stage of the anaerobic digester. Organic waste is processed into biogas, which serves as energy source for gas engines. The generated electricity is used on site as well as fed into the public power grid. A portion of the thermal energy is used as process heat in the digesters, and the excess heat is bled off in the air coolers. The gas produced in the digester, anaerobic digester, about 60% is the methane, CH4, which is valuable fuel with the sewage treatment plant. The methane is used to heat the first stage of the digester, and it can run in an engine and generator set to power pumps, compressor, and other electrical equipment. 400 cm day and 0.65 cubic meter per kg of volatile solids per day. Biological, biochemical, and chemical desulfurization from 2000 H2S to 10 ppm. NH3 removal 2000 ppm to 10 ppm. So absolutely the gas is now converted into the 100% methane. The cetane number is 5. So this is a monod kinetics, the growth rate versus the utilization factor, that is the nutrient factors. The digester gas is biogas, and it also contains carbon dioxide with a small amount of water vapor and other gases. So this is also having toxicity on the environment. So this is a hazardous substance, and because it by virtue of the physical, chemical, and infection characteristics, it may increase mortality and serious illness, incapacitating reversible illness if the hazardous substance is not treated properly. So methane have to be used. So about 7 to 8%, 8 percentage of the global methane emission have produced from the sewage treatment plant. If it is not used, it will become greenhouse gas, and it is a poisonous environment. So it has to be used with the power of nearly around 400 cubic meter per day, having 60 milliliters day sewage treatment plant. And this what the methane lethal dose, LD50. It is a poisoning effect on the environment. So it is also eutrophication because of the H2S and ammonia compounds. And the ignitability characteristics, corrosivity characteristics, reactivity characteristics have been assessed, including toxicity by means of toxic extraction leaching procedures. So that is a toxicity characteristics have been assessed. And how this the environmental remote sensing results have produced for the methane pollution problems on the environment. So this is a synergistic poisoning taken place due to the methane and the nitrogen oxide and ammonia and H2S gas. So this is a synergistic poisoning taken place, and this is what how this phase separation of anaerobic digestion systems taken place, acidification and methane production process. So this also considerable carbon dioxide and other end products. The results and discussions, the nitrification and denitrification process have been proposed. Phosphorus removal process by coagulation, flocculation operations are proposed, and presently this is not available in our country. So most of the sewage treatment plants, they do not treat the nitrogen phosphorus. So it is a very important environmental impact assessment has been done towards the eutrophication problems in our country. And this is what how the physico-chemical analysis characteristics. So BOD, COD, TSS, total nitrogen and total phosphorus. Biogas is produced when bacteria organic matter, that is in absence of the oxygen. This process is called anaerobic digestion. It occurs in two-stage anaerobic digester as it reproduced artificially in the engineered containers called digesters. And the sewage treatment plant have been redesigned, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary for the removal of suspended solid, secondary for the removal of the what is called the BOD, and tertiary is meant for the nitrogen and phosphorus removal. And this what how this cumulative methane production in m cubed on the number of days and the cumulative COD digestion taken place in our Coalesce treatment plant. And there is also observation that the design and development of two-stage anaerobic digester in floating cover process, the first stage is completely mixed, heated, retention time is 1 to 15 days. The second stage is neither heated nor mixed digestion tank. The odor number is 45, which is 45 times more than the permissible limit. Gas production is 512 million metric ton carbon dioxide equivalent. So this is about 7% of the total global methane emission. This has to be efficiently and the coefficient of performance is about 170 percentage to be utilized in order to avoid the global warming potential problems. So this what how this in our Coimbatore Chennai sewage treatment plant is organized with the biogas, the Genbacher power plant. It is a methane. It is working on the methane gas, which has the the cetane number of nearly 5. The cetane number is self-ignitable fuel. Biomethane is an engine fuel that is created by the fatty acids and alcohol. And this is similar to the diesel engine, but little modifications with respect to the inlet fold, then bores diameter, piston diameter, lightly modified for the appropriate compression ratio of the engine, suction, compression, power, and exhaust of the 12-cylinder engine. And this was the digester appearing, two-stage anaerobic digester in a sewage treatment plant. And this produce power of about 3000 to 4000 kilowatt, which can able to run our the tanks and aerators in our Coimbatore STP. And the EIA process is designed for the biofuels and bioenergy, which is a systematic identification and evaluation of the potential environmental effects with respect to the air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. And this is a prediction and assessment of the environmental impacts have been documented in this paper. The conclusion is no nitrogen and no phosphorus removal sewage treatment plants in our country. Water beyond 45 threshold number. Methane engine modified for bore and piston towards the sustainable power development, which is a power development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability and efficacy of the future generations to meet their own needs. So methane can run engine and generator in sewage treatment plant having 60 million liters in a day, having 4000 kilowatt capacity. The methane is used as fuel in heaters in the first stage of the digester. Eutrophication load is 78% because of the nitrogen and phosphorus beyond 10 mg per liter. As per the Sawyer and McCarthy, the nitrogen and phosphorus, nitrogen is not more than 0.001 mg per liter, and the phosphorus is 0.005 mg per liter, and the eutrophication load is about 78% because the groundwater and the steam pollution take place due to the sewage, the wastewater generated from the cities. So rich in nitrogen and phosphorus can lead to eutrophication and severely damage the ecosystem and algal blooms, which has been clearly documented in this particular slide. That is this slide. This is the eutrophication take place, deoxygenation and reaeration. So when the BOD and the SS is discharged into the river water, and deoxygenation and reaeration phenomena have taken place. So dissolved oxygen is considerably reduced, and due to the algal blooms, and this is a big problems in our oxygen sac phenomena. This is the oxygen sac phenomena is shown in this particular slide, and the gas production in the digester is 60% of the methane, and remaining 40% is carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, which have been removed, and the gas is purely the methane, and 400 cubic meter per day, and 0.65 cubic meter per kg of volatile solids per day. Biochemical and chemical desulfurization from 2000 to 10. Ammonia removal is from 2000 ppm to 10 ppm. Carbon dioxide is nearly around 43% is reduced to 10%. And value addition, water quality and control is there in this project. Wastewater treatment and pollution control is there in this project. Air pollution and control is there. Water has been considerably reduced. Land pollution and control, climate change and control have been considerably reduced in this project. Environmental pollution and control, and sustainable development, which is a development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability and efficacy of future generation to meet their own needs. Innovations in the Internet of Things and artificial technologies, artificial intelligent technologies. The reference is Iyer Vijayan Gurumurthy, Design and Development of Sustainable Wastewater Treatment Plant for Sustainable Development Management of Wastewater in context to Indian scenario. Journal of Economics World, ISSN 2328 7144, September October 2017, Volume 1, Number 5, DOI 10.17265, 2328 7144, 2017.05.011, David Publishing Company, New York, USA. http www.davidpublishing.org. Home Journal EW Economic World, page number 486 to 492. So with this, I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to present my paper on the design and development of the biogas plant and the sustainable power development. Thank you one and all. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay Gurumati Iyer. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. Now let's move on to the next presentation. The next presenter is Dr. Vikram Ahamia from Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai, India. Hello, Dr. Vikram. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible. Now I'm making as a presenter. Kindly click on the screen button to share your screen.
Yeah, okay. So is my screen visible now?
Yeah, it's visible. Can you put it in presentation mode and start your presentation?
Right, 1 second.
Yeah, it is perfect now. You can start your presentation.
Actually, I'm getting this meeting icon on my screen, so I'm trying to remove that.
No, you can't. Just move that to this or minimize. Don't close that.
Right. I'm trying to minimize it. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank Coalesce Research Group for providing me this wonderful opportunity to present my work on the hydrogen storage in metal decorated advanced 2D material. I'm Vikram Hemia, research scholar at IIT Bombay in India. Today I'm going to present two of my recently published work in the International Journal of Hydrogen Energy. So first I will introduce hydrogen storage and role of advanced 2D materials in absorbing the hydrogen molecules. I will discuss the computational methods I have used for the simulation purpose, and then I will briefly describe the results and practical feasibility of my system for storing the hydrogen, and then I will conclude the talk. So hydrogen is considered as one of the most prominent alternative of fossil fuel because of the following reason. First of all, it is naturally abundant. It is environmental friendly because the product of hydrogen combustion is only water, vapor, and heat, and they do not harm the environment. And it has the highest energy per unit weight as compared to any other. But the challenge is how to store hydrogen in a safe, compact, and efficient way so that it can be utilized for the practical applications. In this regard, there are many materials like metal hydrides, metal alloys, porous zeolite structures, metal organic frameworks, which can be used for hydrogen storing purpose. But all of these materials have some advantage and disadvantage. Like in the case of metal hydrides, the desorption temperature is very high because hydrogen is binded with strong force. While in the case of porous structures, like zeolite and metal organic frameworks, the hydrogen is bounded very weakly, so they can come out even at room temperature. So in this regard, metal decorated carbon nanostructures are very promising hydrogen substrate because they bind hydrogen molecules with sufficient binding energy that is not too strong and not too weak. Department of Energy United States has issued some guidelines for the ideal hydrogen storing substrate. And according to these guidelines, the binding energy of the storing of the host substrate should lie in the range of 0.2 to 0.7 electron volt. And more specifically, it should lie in the range of 0.2 to 0.4 electron volt for the reversible storage of hydrogen. And the gravimetric weight percentage of hydrogen should be more than 6.5%. After the discovery of graphene, there has been a lot of research in the field of advanced 2D materials to store the hydrogen molecules because these materials have large surface area, and since these are 2D materials, hydrogen or metal can be absorbed on the both side of these materials. They have low diffusion energy barrier and hollow structure to absorb the metal as well as the hydrogen atoms. So in this presentation, I will discuss two of the systems on which I have worked on. So first is this recently synthesized holy graphene structure, and the other is biphenyline structure. So these two materials have been experimentally synthesized, and I have explored these materials for the hydrogen storing purpose by decorating these metals by transition metal and as well as alkali and alkali earth metals. So I have used density functional theory for the calculation by using WASP simulation package to count the weak van der Waals interaction between the metal and hydrogen molecules. I have incorporated dispersion corrections of DFT D2 type. I have used a 2x2x1 supercell of biphenyline and single unit cell of polygraphene with 24 carbon atoms for the simulation purpose, and a 551 K points to sample the brilliant zone. I have also performed the molecular dynamic simulations to check the stability of the metal decorated structure at the desorption temperature. So these are the formula for the calculation of binding energy of the metal atom as well as the first hydrogen molecule. Then I have used the Van 't Hoff formula to calculate the average desorption temperature of the adsorbed hydrogen molecules. So here TD is the average desorption temperature, EV is the average binding energy of the adsorbed hydrogen molecules, and all other things are constant. Kb is the Boltzmann constant, delta is the entropy change for the hydrogen while going in liquid to gas phase, R is the universal gas constant, and P is the atmospheric pressure. So first system that I will briefly discuss is the holy graphene. So this is the structure of holy graphene, and this is the unit cell for the holy graphene, and this is the structure for scandium decorated holy graphene. So I have used one unit cell of holy graphene for the simulation purpose. So we have decorated this structure with this scandium atom. The metal atom has been placed at different position to this structure and found the most stable position is the octagon position when metal is decorated on the top of the octagon of holy graphene. And this has the binding energy of 4.56, which is more than the cohesive energy of scandium atom. So that means this metal will prefer to bind individually on the holy graphene structure instead to form clusters. To show the orbital interactions and charge transfer mechanism when metal is attached to the holy graphene structure, I have plotted the density of a state and the partial density of a state. So this figure 1, upper panel of figure 1 is the total density of a state of holy graphene structure, while the lower panel is for the total density of a state of scandium decorated holy graphene purpose, holy graphene system. So this holy graphene structure has a band gap of 0.4 electron volt calculated at PB level of theory, which becomes metallic after the decoration of scandium atom. I have also plotted the partial density of a state of carbon 2p orbital and scandium 3d orbital before and after the attachment of a scandium atom on the holy graphene structure, and I have found that there has been some charge loss when scandium is attached to the holy graphene, and there has been some charge gain in the 2p orbital of carbon when scandium is attached to the holy graphene structure. That means some charge has been transferred from scandium 3d orbital to carbon 2p orbital of holy graphene, which is basically responsible for the strong binding of metal atom to the holy graphene structure. Next, I have performed the better charge analysis at charge density difference plots calculations to quantify the charge transfer. So from the better charge analysis calculation, I have found that 1.9 electronic charge has been transferred from the scandium 3d and 4s orbital to the carbon 2p orbitals of holy graphene. And due to this significant amount of charge transfer, these metals are bounded very strongly with the holy graphene structure. This can also be seen with by plotting the charge density difference plots. So these plots are plotted according to BZR color pattern, where red color around the metal atom denotes the charge loss, while the green and blue color denotes less and more charge gain region respectively. After getting this stable metal decorated holy graphene structure, we have placed different hydrogen molecules on the top of metal decorated HGY structure and optimized this structure. So, and calculated the binding energy of these hydrogen molecules with GGA plus dispersion correction, as well as more sophisticated hybrid density functional theory. And we have found that the average binding energy of these hydrogen molecules lies in the suitable range as specified by the Department of Energy, United States, 0.2 to 0.4 electron volt. And the desorption temperature corresponding to these binding energy are also very much suitable for the reversible storage of hydrogen. And we have found that the 1 unit cell of we have found that these each metal atom adsorbed on the holy graphene structure can bound 5 hydrogen molecule, which will lead to 9.8 weight percentage of hydrogen. That is far greater than the DOE requirement of 6.5 percentage. To explain the orbital interaction and charge transfer mechanism when hydrogen molecules are attached to the metal decorated holy graphene structure, I have plotted the partial density of a state of hydrogen 1s and scandium 3d orbital before and after the attachment of first hydrogen molecules. And from the partial density of state, we have found that some charge has been transferred from the scandium 3d orbital to the hydrogen 1s orbital when the first hydrogen molecule is attached to the scandium decorated holy graphene structure. And this charge transfer is basically responsible for the binding of hydrogen molecules. So hydrogen molecules are bounded with the scandium atom by Coalesce interaction in addition to electrostatic interaction. And in these interactions, some charge has been transferred from scandium 3d orbital to the carbon 2p orbital, scandium 3d orbital to the hydrogen 1s orbital, and some reverse charge donation take place from hydrogen 1s to scandium 3d orbital. And in this whole process of charge donation and back donation, a small amount of charge has been gained by hydrogen 1s orbital, due to which they are bounded with the metal atom. We have also optimized the structure of by keeping 2 metal atom on the nearest octagon site and placing 5 hydrogen molecules on the top of each metal atom to check whether the binding energy lies in the suitable range. And we have found that the binding energy is still optimum for the hydrogen storage purpose. Next, we have calculated the desorption temperature of the adsorbed hydrogen molecules by employing the van der Waals equation, and found that the desorption temperature is 464 Kelvin, quite suitable for the reversible application of hydrogen as a fuel cell. And we have calculated the gravimetric weight percentage. So for the gravimetric weight percentage calculation, it is assumed that the holy graphene structure can adsorb 6 hydrogen molecules, 3 in the front and 3 on the reverse side of holy graphene structure, and each metal can adsorb 5 hydrogen molecules. And this will lead to a gravimetric weight percentage of 9.80, which is quite higher than the DOE requirement. Next, to check the practical feasibility of the system, we have performed the molecular dynamics simulation as well as the diffusion energy barrier calculation. From the diffusion energy barrier calculation, we have found that there exists an energy barrier of 3.15 and 2.93 electron volt if this metal atom are displaced from one stable position to the another stable position. These energy barriers are quite high as compared to the thermal energy of scandium atom at desorption temperatures. So, which indicates that the diffusion of metal atom will not take place in our system, and metal-metal clustering will not take place. This can also be explained by performing the molecular dynamic simulations. So, from the molecular dynamic simulations, we have found that the change in the metal-metal distance after placing the metal atom in canonical ensemble for 5 picosecond is also very small, and which indicates that the displacement of metal atom will not take place to the another side, and metal-metal clustering will not take place in our system. So I would like to conclude this work uh, uh, by mentioning these points, like we have investigated the hydrogen adsorption and desorption properties of scandium decorated holy graphene and found that the average binding energy and desorption temperature are very much suitable for the reversible application of hydrogen storage. And the gravimetric weight percentage of hydrogen for our system is 9.80%, which is far greater than the DOE requirement. Diffusion energy barrier calculations explains that the metal-metal clustering will not take place in our system, and so metal atom will remain intact with the holy graphene even at the desorption temperature. Hence, we believe that the scandium decorated holy graphene is a practically viable high capacity hydrogen storage material. In this second work, I will briefly describe just few of the results of my second work. So here we have used this 468 biphenylene sheet for the hydrogen storing purpose. So this structure has also been experimentally synthesized, and Dennis and their co-worker have studied this structure after decorating the lithium atom for the hydrogen storing purpose. But the binding energy of the hydrogen are found to be 0.20 electron volt only, which is which will correspond to a desorption temperature less than room temperature. So hydrogen molecules can come out even at the room temperatures. So therefore, the system might not be suitable for the practical application. So therefore, we have decorated this structure with different alkali and alkali earth metal and investigated the hydrogen storage properties of this material. So we have placed different alkali and alkali earth metal, including sodium, beryllium, magnesium, potassium, and calcium, at various sites of biphenylene sheet, and found that the binding energy of sodium, beryllium, and magnesium is very small and lesser than the cohesive energy. So these metal will prefer to bind, prefer to form cluster instead of bind individually. So we have not considered these metal atom decorated structure for the hydrogen storage purpose. While in the case of potassium and calcium, the binding energy is more than their cohesive energy. So that means they will prefer to bind individually, and these structures have been studied for a hydrogen storing purpose. In addition to that, we have also performed diffusion energy barrier and molecular dynamic simulation calculations to investigate the metal-metal clustering in our system. So here also we have performed the partial density of state and charge density difference plots analysis, and we have found that some charge has been transferred from the metal atom to the biphenylene structure, which is responsible for the strong binding and strong binding of metal on this 2D material. Next, to investigate the charge transfer between metal and hydrogen atom, we have plotted the partial density of the state of metal d orbital before and after the adsorption of first hydrogen molecules, and we have found that in case of calcium atom, the nature of partial density of state is almost same, almost similar in the case of calcium decorated biphenylene and calcium decorated biphenylene and with one hydrogen molecules. So, which indicates that hydrogen molecules are bounded by only by weak electrostatic and van der Waals interactions. While in the case of calcium atom, we have found that the nature of this partial density of state near the Fermi levels, Fermi energy has been changed. So this indicates that Kuba's interaction is also present in addition to electrostatic and van der Waals interaction, when hydrogen molecules are attached to the calcium atom. So we have found that the 5 hydrogen molecules can be adsorbed on the top of calcium and potassium decorated structure, and 8 metal atoms can be put on the 2x2x1 supercell of biphenyline without forming the clusters. To check the practical feasibility of our system, we have performed diffusion energy barrier calculation as well as molecular dynamic simulation, which indicates that the metal-metal clustering will not take place in our system. So we have explored the hydrogen storage capabilities of potassium and calcium decorated biphenyline structure, and we have found that the 2x2x1 supercell of biphenyline can adsorb 8 metal atom, and each metal atom can adsorb 5 hydrogen molecules. So this configuration will lead to a gravimetric weight percentage of 11.90 and 11.63 percentage for potassium and calcium decorated biphenyline systems, which is very much greater than the DOE requirement of 6.5 weight percentage. The average binding energy and average desorption temperature of our system are very much suitable for the reversible hydrogen storage applications. The bonding and charge transfer mechanism are explained in terms of density of state, partial density of state, by the charge analysis as well as charge density plots. We have also investigated the practical feasibility of our system by performing molecular dynamics simulations and diffusion energy barrier calculations. So we can say that the calcium and potassium decorated biphenyline structures are ultra high capacity reversible hydrogen storage systems. So I would like to acknowledge online international conference on hydrogen and fuel cell technology organized by Coalesce research group for providing me this opportunity, as well as my supervisor and DST Inspire for providing me the fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vikram. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. Now let's move on to the next presentation. The next presenter is Dr. Tamiru Kafelu from Madawalamu University, Ethiopia. Hello, Dr. Tamiru. Hello, Dr.
Hello.
Tamiru.
Is my sound is audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Now I'm making as a presenter. Kindly share your screen.
Thank you. Okay.
Hello, Dr. Tamiru. I have made you as a presenter. Okay.
Okay, I'm coming. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible. You can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I am Tamru Kafialo from Madolabu University, Ethiopia, and I'm very excited to present my research article entitled Biogas and Biofertilizer Production Potential of Abater Waste in Shashamene City, Ethiopia. My presentation outline contains four major parts. The first one is introductory part, the second one is material and the method, the third one is result and the discussion. Finally, I will try to summarize it. As introduction, let me start with what the word abater waste is. Abater waste is a waste that could be generated when animals are slaughtered for the sake of producing a meat for public production. Recently, abater waste disposal is extremely difficult and a serious issue in urban environments all over the world. However, particularly in developing countries, improper disposals of abater waste is really very serious issues. As a result, untreated abater wastes are a major source for public health and environmental problems. However, abated waste are a potential source for biogas and biofertilizer potentials. But abated waste potential found in Shashamane city has not been studied yet. Thus, the lack of data about the amounts of the waste that could be generated from the area uh, makes difficult in planning for sustainable management of the wastes. Therefore, this research was designed to study the amounts of waste that could be generated from slaughterhouse, again, biogas and the biofertilizer production potential of the site, and finally, the potential that the amounts of greenhouse gas emission reduction potential if the abated waste found in the area is managed by biogas technology. As you can see from the slide, the research is already conducted in Shashamane city. The altitude of the area ranges from 1,826 up to 2,100, and more than 295,000 people are recently living in Shashamane city. The major point here is a variety of micro watersheds which generate from the city is only around 50 kilometers far away from Shashamane Lake. What you can understand from here is really a waste generated from the town has a potential to pollute Lake Shala. When I proceed to the methods in order to achieve the proposed objectives, the first one is estimations of waste from the slaughter houses. The data were collected from March 1, 2020 to February 30, 2021. In order to determine the average weights of the cattle, again, the amounts of blade waste generated from them and the amounts of ruminal content waste generated from the slaughtered cattle, we have sampled 250 cattle. 250 cattle. So as a result, the average weights of each cattle is estimated to be 250 kilogram, and the amount of blade waste generated from each slaughtered cattle is 88.4%, which is almost 21 kilogram, and 12% of ruminal content will be generated or removed from each slaughtered cattle, which is almost around 30 kilogram per cattle. In this research, only slaughtered cattle were considered and livestock was not included. Another point is the way we have calculated biogas production potential. Biogas generation efficiency from both blade and the rumen waste ranges from 0.3 to 0.6 meter cube per kilogram of fresh wastes. In this study, we have used 0.3 meter cube per kilogram of fresh waste. Another point is electricity potential from biogas. Here we have tried to calculate the heating value generated from biogas and again the electric power that could be generated from the sites. In order to calculate heating value is equals to the amount of methane produced from the site times 85% times 36.85% is from a total 85% of methane evolved could be converted to heat in the boiler, and 35 is the lower caloric value, which is 36, could be generated from per meter cube from a methane. About 36 will be generated from cubic meters of methane. In order to calculate the amount of electric power, it could be calculated by multiplying the amount of biogas times 6 kilowatt per meter cube, which is especially the biogas caloric value times 30%, which is especially the biogas to electricity conversion efficiency ranges from differ based on the size of the turbine. For example, the large turbine conversion efficiencies ranges from 35 up to 42%, while for small generators it may be around 25%. So in this study we have used 30% of biogas to electricity conversion efficiency. We expected that the medium size will be used. Another point is the reduction, greenhouse gas emission reduction potential of biogas technology. This will be calculated based on by calculating the greenhouse gas emission from the dumping sites and the amounts of greenhouse gas emission from biogas technology. Once the amounts of greenhouse gas emission from the dumping site and the emission from biogas technology is calculated by subtracting emission from biogas technology from emission from the dumping site, we can easily calculate the amounts of greenhouse gas emission that could be reduced if biogas technology is introduced at the steady site. The fifth one is equivalency of biogas with expensive fossil fuels. As different scholars try to clearly indicate, 1 meter cube of biogas is almost have a potential to replace 0.45 kilogram of liquefied petroleum gas. Again, 1 meter cube of biogas has a potential to replace 0.6 kilogram of kerosene, 3.5 kilogram of charcoal or firewood, 0.4 kilogram of furnace oil, 0.7 kilogram of petrol, 0.5 kilogram of diesel in a similar activities. So the last one is the amounts of biofertilizer that could be generated from a site. It could be calculated by subtracting dry mass minus volatile solid times plus 40% of volatile solid. In this case, dry mass is 50% of abater waste, while volatile solid is 97% of dry mass. In this case, only around 60% of volatile solid is converted to biogas. Therefore, we used 40% of volatile solid to replace the dry matter that was left over after anaerobic digestion treatment. When I proceed to the result and the discussion, daily about 37 cattle were slaughtered for the sake of producing meat for public consumptions. So from 37 cattle, around 777 kilogram of blade waste and 1,110 kilogram of rumen waste will be generated. From this, again, about 233.1 biogas will be generated from the blade waste and 333 kilometer cube of biogas will be generated from the rumen waste. As a total, as you can see from the slide, from a total of 1,887 kilogram of waste, around 566.1 meter cube of biogas could be generated daily. Here, weekly, from 275 kettles, a total of 14,000, more than 40,000 kilogram of the waste will be generated. From this, a total of around 4,207.5 meter cube of biogas could be generated. When I proceed to the amounts of per year, more than 13,000 cattle will be slaughtered for the sake of producing meat for public production, public consumptions. From these, around more than 688,000 kilogram of waste could be generated, and these have a potential to produce more than 206,000 meter cube of biogas could be generated. Here are, for example, some example of waste of rumen content is stored in the abator waste. Really, you can easily understand how the rumen contents are disposed. Again, you can see the blade waste in the abator waste. Again, you can see the potential bone waste in the abator waste. Really, they have high severe impacts on the environment and the human beings. In Ethiopia, the demand of the beef in 2010 is estimated to be around more than 421,000 metric ton. In Haro, 2090 predicted that the amounts of Ethiopian beef demand in 2030 will rise to more than 678,000 metric ton. In 2050, it will expected to be more than 887 ton. As a result, the amounts of slaughterhouse waste created will increase, which potentially providing the required waste for biogas production. As a result, Shashamane Municipal Abator can have a potential to provide enough feedstock for biogas technology. When I proceed to the second point, it is the amount of biogas and energy produced from the site daily from 566.1 around 10,000 kilowatt per hour have daily. The site have a potential to generate 10,000 kilowatt per hour, whereas if it is for electric power, it has a potential to provide more than 1,000 kilowatt per hour. Weekly, you can see the abator waste in the steady area have a potential to provide about 7.7 times 10 to the power of 4 kilowatt per hour. If it is for heating value, it could be around 7,573.5 kilowatt per hour if it is for electric power. Yearly, as you can see here, the site has a potential to provide or generate more than 379.4 times 10 to the power of 4 kilowatt per hour. If it is for electric power, more than 371,000 kilowatt per hour could be generated from the steady area. When we see, for example, the Ethiopian population, WDI indicated that in 1990, the total people in Ethiopia is estimated to be around 48 million, which will rise to 92 million in 2012. Mondalex predicted that by 2050, the total Ethiopian population will rise to more than 134 peoples. Recently, 17% of the people in Ethiopia are nowadays in urban areas, which will expected to be rise to 21% by 2030. In another way, in 2012, about 1,358 petajoule of electric consumption will rise to 2,120 petajoule by 2030. Hence, introducing sustainable and renewable energy resource is very critical for long-term growth and for sustainable development. Therefore, the introduction of renewable and anaerobic digester has a potential to boost the steady area's energy supply, since the population and the expansion of urban areas increasing from time to time. The third point is estimations of greenhouse gas emission reduction. Daily, if the waste is dumped there, around 2.6 ton of greenhouse gas emission will be emitted to the atmosphere wherever. While if biogas technology is introduced in the state area, only around 0.04 ton will be emission of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. So introduction of biogas technology have a potential to reduce 2.6 tons of greenhouse gas per day. When I proceed to the amounts of greenhouse gas emission reduction per year, from 688.8 waste uh, from a dumping site, around 966.2 greenhouse gas will be emitted to the atmosphere. While if biogas technology is introduced in the state area, only about 13.78 greenhouse gas will be emitted. Thus, it has a potential to reduce about 952.4 tons of greenhouse gas emission reduction per year. Particularly in Ethiopia, about 6.7 million metric ton emissions of carbon dioxide in 2012, which will expected to be around 17.2 million metric tons by 2030, according to Mondal. So between 2012 to 2030, charcoal, oil, and LPG may contains the majority of greenhouse gas emission. As a result, adoptions of renewable energy source can help us to reduce greenhouse gas emission in the state areas. The last point is productions of biogas, biofertilizer. From 1,887 habitable waste generated from the state area per day, a total of 118.3 kilogram could be generated. Per week, from 14,000 kilograms of waste, around 879.4 kilogram of organic fertilizer would be generated yearly. About 43,000, more than 43,000 kilogram of biofertilizer could be generated if biogas technologies introduced in the state area. For example, here, global consumption of agricultural good is almost equal with productions of agricultural goods in 2005-2007. By 2050, agricultural production could be 60% greater than in 2005-2017. As a result, overall fertilizer use could rise from 166 million to 263 million in 2050. In particular, 70% of global fertilizer is especially expected to be used by developing countries in order to feed their people. Thus, it has a potential to meet the needs of fertilizer to improve agricultural production and productivity. As a conclusion, installation of biogas technology have a potential to provide bioenergy and biofertilizer from the habitable waste. Again, it has a potential to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases. Furthermore, uh, introduction of biogas technology can assure environmental safety and public health. Therefore, collaborations of governmental, non-governmental, and private organizations is required to manage a better waste, generate biogas and biofertilizer. The future perspective here is we have designed 5-year project plan in order to install biogas technology in Shashamane city and also in 4 additional towns around Madawalabu University Research Catchment Area. I would like to thank Madawalabu University again, the organizer of this conference. I would like to thank you. Thanks for your kindly attention. If you do have any questions in the comments, you are welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tameru. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to the Let's move on to the next presenter. The next presentation is from Dr. Wahiba Falek from University of Material Brothers, Constituent 1, Algeria. Hello, Dr. Falek. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Okay,
Hello.
now I'm making you as a presenter. Yeah, your voice is audible.
Yes. Okay.
And click on the screen button to share your screen.
It's visible for you.
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah, you can start your presentation.
Thank you. So I'm Dr. Falek Wahiba from Institute of Nutrition, Food and Agri-Food Technology, University of Montouri, Brother, Constantine 1, Algeria. This work with collaborate with the Professor Monica Marilina Miazzi, Cinzia Montemoro of University of Italy, and the Professor Dwadi Khlifi of School Higher of Biotechnology. I have the honor to present to you our work entitled Geographic Diversity of Wild Olive Tree, Olea europea, Sub-europea, versilvestris in northern Algeria. In introduction, use of wild species related to cultivation genetic diversity for selection provide indispensable resilience with modern agricultural systems and create potential to help sustainably increase agricultural production. Therefore, to feed a growing global population in the face of climate change and other stresses. The challenge related to biodiversity and preservation for resource phytogenetic are currently important. This is reflected in various developments at international and community level. Safeguarding the genetic resource of the olive tree becomes fundamental, not only for cultivated olive tree, but also in its wild form. Wild olive represent a valuable genetic resource on the one hand for the breeding programs of cultivated olive, and on the other hand for the conservation of biological diversity in natural environments. Great genetic diversity of the wild olive tree is used in integration of certain agronomic trees resistant to biotic and abiotic stress and in rootstock in the breeding programs. It is in this context that multidisciplinarity analysis ecogeographic studies were carried out on 179 genotypes of wild olive trees collected along northern Algeria in different climatic conditions. The main objectives are to understand the mean intra and interpopulation genetic variability through the sampled accessions. In material and methods, for the first parts of the collection of the samples, The geographical maps represent the collection of samples were collected in 35 stations distributed between east, center, and west of Algeria. A GPS was used for the coordinate of the collection sites. For the second part of ecogeographic characterization, each collection site was characterized by 5 ecogeographic climate parameters: precipitation annual, mean of maximum temperature of hottest month, minimum temperature of coldest month, altitude, and Ombergi coefficient. For the climatological data, to characterize the climatic parameters of reference stations, the climatological data for 22 stations were provided by National Meteorological Office. However, data from 13 reference stations were not available. For these stations, data from clima.org were used. The climatic types is regulated for each stations according to the Köppen-Geiger classification. This classification is based on precipitation and temperature. Each climate is identified by a 3-letter code specified for each collection stations, depending on the nature of climate and the geographical location. Our collection can be divided into the following 4 main groups. The first group contains 25 reference stations, location, coastal and coastal areas and plains, warm temperate climate with Mediterranean dry summer. 16 reference stations characterized by great precipitation in winter than in summer. The second group contains 10 reference stations on the same climate of the first group with more precipitation in summer than in winter. The third group contains 6 stations that are characterized by the cold semi-arid climate called steppe climate, where there is little precipitation throughout the year. The fourth group contains 3 reference stations of climate of semi-arid character known as desert climate. Since there is practically no precipitation during the whole year, the classification originates back to the climate requirements of Algerian wild olive tree. We use a Nombergi climagram to control the bioclimate stage of our collection. The ordinate in the diagram represent the Ombergi rainfall quotient, and the axis represent the mean of corrected minimum temperature of the coldest month. The main software compounds that have been used in the processing of ecogeographic data are Excelstat 2014 was used for the determination of descriptive analysis, principal component analysis between ecogeographic parameters. Darwin was used for the construction of the ecogeographic tree of the collection visualized with Fig tree 2016. In result and discussion, the first result for the distribution maps of collection sites, for the result of the characterization of altitude of collection station are presented on the maps. Our genotypes are between latitude 33 degrees and 36 degrees and altitude between 18 and 102,070 meters. The red points in the maps, the red points represent the genotypes of altitude less than 6 600 meters, cover all coastal areas of country. However, the purple pounds represent those of the altitude higher than 600 meters, collected from the central and eastern inferior areas of country. For minimum temperature of collection stations are shown on the maps. The red pounds represent genotypes of minimum temperature above 4 degrees Celsius, collected from coastal areas covering all northern Algeria. However, the yellow pounds represent genotypes with a minimum temperature of less than 4 degrees Celsius collected from the central and eastern inferior areas of country. For the result of maximum temperatures of collection, stations are presented on the maps. The brown colored pounds represent the genotypes of the temperature maximum above 30 degrees Celsius, covering all the north of Algeria. However, the yellow pounds represent the maximum temperatures of less than 30 degrees Celsius in same areas of central of Algeria. With regard to the result of Homberg coefficient on the maps, the blue-colored pounds represent the genotypes of Homberg coefficient less than 100 in their collection covering all the north of national territory, whereas the green pounds represent the genotypes of Homberg coefficient greater than 100, which are collected mainly in the coastal areas of central and eastern countries. For the results of the distribution bioclimate stage, 8 obtained with climagram Homberg, 8 bioclimates have been identified through collection stations. The two first bioclimate represent the upper and inferior of bioclimate arid, then lower, medium, and upper for the bioclimate semi-arid, and in the end, sub, lower, and top for the bioclimate humid. The result of our overall description of ecogeographic parameters by principal compound analysis, the 5 parameters are well presented on the plan. A priori, the annual precipitation control the Homberg coefficient, altitude control the minimum temperature of coldest month. However, the temperature of the hottest month in its value is independent of altitude. For the determination of ecogeographic pools generated by unweighted neighbor joining methods, the dendrogram of the grouping of 179 genotypes of wild olive tree made using 5 ecogeographic parameters. The tree illustrate 3 ecogeographic pools. The research of homology and intra-pool differences allowed use to explain the subdivision of the dendrogram. The first ecogeographic pool with blue color contain 91 genotypes with altitude greater than 600 meters, collected from the northeast and central interior of country. The first group, the research of homology, the existence of the differences intra-pool is subdivided the first group into 4 subpopulations. The second ecogeographic pool with red color contain 79 genotypes with altitude less than 600 meters, collected in coastal areas of the country. The existence of intra-pool differences is subdivided the second pool into 4 subpopulations. The third ecogeographic pool with green color contain 9 genotypes mixed because of the heterogeneity of altitude and Omberg coefficient. A priori, the first ecogeographic pool contain growth genotypes at high altitude and low precipitation. These locations, two locations in central and northern eastern Algeria, are geographically characterized by the high mountains that create the condition of genetic isolation of genotypes of the wild olive tree in Algeria. On the contrary, the second ecogeographic pool contains the genotypes of growth at low altitude and precipitation. For the third ecogeographic pool correspond to genotypes characterized by heterogeneity, growth of altitude, a high annual precipitation, and a high temperature of warmest month that is greater than 30 degrees Celsius. In general conclusion and prospectus, the main methodological difficulty remains sampling. For this, we should for wild population located outside the olive growing area. The second point is ecogeographic data indicated clear discrimination of accessions and a very high level of genetic diversity. The third point is the various geographic origins may explain the high degree of variability among accessions according to a distinct montane climate and their altitudinal gradient. The fourth point is the analysis of altitudinal gradient indicate that variability decreases from the north to the south of the stations studied as a result of the general decrease in rainfall, but from the west to the east due to the low precipitation. The distribution maps and bioclimate stage of collection sites could be used in the formulation of a conservation policy and in the organization of future collection missions. Then, the samples from an area characterized by higher temperature and low precipitation are a good search for genes for tolerance to harsh climatic conditions, thus becoming crucial in addressing future challenges posed by climate change. In prospectus, the first prospectus is compared this great genetic variability with that present in Algerian cultivated various to study their relationship and exploit the genetic variability of wild olive tree. The second prospectus is a deeper understanding of the genetic basis of resistance in the genetic material of the wild olive tree could improve the performance of cultivars through the implementation of olive breeding programs. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Falek, for your presentation. Does anyone having any queries? I hope there are no queries. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. Now let's move on to the next presentation. The next presenter is Dr. Javier Christian from Ramirez from University of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Hello. Due to some technical issues, Dr. Javier is going to join in a couple of minutes. Let's wait for a few more minutes. Thank you. Hello everyone. Due to some technical issue, Dr. Javier could not be possible to give his presentation today. Okay, by this we have come to an end of day 2 webinar. I would like to thank all the attendees and participants of today's event. Hope you enjoy the conference and gain the knowledge from the sessions, and will be glad if you could join us in the next in-person conference, which is scheduled in November 2022, and the dates will be informed to you by mail. We'll be very happy if you could share your opinion and feedback with us. If you have any queries, you can mail to us. Thank you.